Alright guys, now we're on chapter 2 of One for the Murphys. And remember, you have to participate in the flip grids in order to get a shout out in Monday's video. The shout outs are for people who complete all of their assignments and reading throughout the week. So, be sure to participate in the flip grids and pay close attention so you actually have something to talk about. Alright, chapter 2 is called The First Step. While Miss McAvoy blathers on, Miss Murphy focuses on the bruises on my arms. Her look of pity crawls inside of me. Clasping my hands behind my back, I try to hide my arms so she can't see. You have to infer there. What is she trying to hide? The middle boy starts pulling matchbox cars from his pants pockets and holds them against his chest. He's the dirtiest, but seems the most serious, even with a head full of red curls. The one in her arms is about 4, I guess. He wears a plastic fireman's hat, a little fire hydrant boxers, and bright yellow rain boots. A great blackmail picture when the kid's about 16. This is Daniel, she says, pointing to the tallest one. And my red-headed car guy's Adam. And my littlest guy here, his name's Michael Eric. Say hi, guys. I looked at this family, a family I don't know, that I'm supposed to stay with. I try to swallow my panic. The whole place smells like dryer sheets. Reminds me of Lucky Laundromat back in Vegas, but it isn't nearly as bright. The fireplace spans an entire wall in the step-down family room. The mantel is covered with St. Patrick's Day decorations. Miss McAvoy leaves, saying, "Good luck. I wonder which one of us she's talking to." When Miss Murphy closes the door behind her, she turns to me. "Let's get you settled in," she said. "The idea of me settling in here is about as likely as an apple tree sprouting in my ear." She picks up the backpack that Family Services gave me, which has a stuffed giraffe, a toothbrush, and a pair of bright yellow fairy pajamas that remind me that there are worse things than death. The stuffed giraffe is good, though. Anyone who has had her whole life shredded in one night should have a stuffed giraffe. Miss Murphy takes me up the staircase. There are 13 steps to the top, the 10th one being a squeaker. Soon we stand in a bedroom decorated with the theme of fire trucks. On the wall over the bed, there's a red wooden sign that reads, "Be Someone's Hero," in white letters, and I consider the cruel irony of sleeping under this phrase. Sorry about the room. I know it isn't well suited to a girl your age. I moved Michael Eric in with Adam so you'd have some privacy. You know, I assumed you'd be a boy. She looks me over her shoulder and seems a little embarrassed. I mean, I was surprised to hear you were a girl. Yeah, me too. Straightening the corner of the bed, she laughs. What a clip. I wonder what that means. I like it. I was thinking if you want me to call you Julie instead of Miss Murphy, that would be fine. Wait. I was thinking if you want to call me Julie instead of Miss Murphy, that would be fine, not so formal. Okay, I say, thinking that I don't want to call her Julie like we're friends. I don't want to call her anything. She seems okay, but I don't want someone else's family. I'm going to go get Michael Eric and Adam cleaned up and start dinner. Miss McAvoy said you've been asking for books at the hospital, so I put a bunch you may like on the top shelf there. She nods toward the bookcase. I turn to look at them. Best thing so far. We're having lasagna for dinner. I hope that's okay. Stouffer's or store brand? No. I mean, neither. I made it a couple weeks ago and I stuck it in the basement freezer. She seems embarrassed. So I guess you could say it is frozen then? She made it herself? Seriously? Miss Murphy turns to go, closing the door behind her. Hey! Yeah, she answers, stepping back in. Do you have a husband? I ask, staring at her wedding band and thinking of my stepfather, Dennis. Yes, I do. She sounds all sing-songy. My husband, Jack, is working at the firehouse today, but he'll be home tomorrow morning. He knows you're here. I'm afraid again. Okay, thanks. She leaves, and soon I hear splashing from the bathroom, and it sounds like there are 10 boys in the tub instead of 2. I stand at the door, and I want to go in, but I don't. I see the Murphys' bedroom door is open, so I go in there instead. The bed is high off the ground and has a woven canopy over it. There are pictures all over the room on tables and shelves. There's a man in a Navy uniform. There's also a wedding picture, and I see the groom is the same as the Navy guy. I wish my mother had been married to my father. The bathroom door opens behind me, and I feel like I've been caught doing something wrong. I step back into the table, and the Navy man picture smashes on the floor. I blurt out, "Sorry." "Carly, never mind that. I'll clean it later, but be careful, don't cut yourself." I stare at her. When will she get mad? "There's a little step stool in here," she says. "Why don't you come and sit and join us?" What sounds like a plastic cup falls on the floor in the bathroom, followed by a loud little boy laugh. She pokes her head in. Michael Eric, leave the water in the tub, honey. Honey. She turns toward me, waiting for an answer. I can see she becomes impatient as her gaze jumps between me and the bathroom. Sorry, I say. I wonder if my mother is awake yet. She seems to force a smile. The picture's no big deal. Jack hates it anyway. My mouth dries up. I know I'm not apologizing for the picture. I'm sorry for being there in the first place. Miss Murphy lets me skip dinner. She says it's only for the first night. I hear a happy family downstairs talking and laughing, and I'm relieved that I'm not with them. In the dark bedroom that is not my own, I count the wheels on the trucks over and over. I count the little firemen running around to help people. I stare at the hero sign and count the curves and the lines of the letters. I wonder if in my whole life I could ever be someone's hero. I think I hear my mother calling my name in the night, and I pull the covers up under my chin. I remind myself how she told me to never cry, how she and her friends would laugh at me when I did. My mother would tell me that crying was for suckers and that you can't be a sucker in Vegas. I know wherever my mother is, she has to be thinking about me, and I know I will go to her if she needs me, no matter what the state says. I hope that if I'm patient, I'll have a mother of my own again. Chapter 3. Orange, you glad you're here. This looks like Orange, you glad you're here. At night, the house is quiet. Too quiet for sleeping. The digital clock reads 2:34 a.m. I like the consecutive numbers. I watch and wait for 2:35 because 2 plus 3 will be 5. At 2:36, 2 times 3 will be 6. The number 6 makes me remember my mother's favorite vase, how I filled it with 6 big clear marbles with deep blue swirls inside, even when she told me not to. How my elbows sent it to the carpeted floor, and how, when we cleaned it up, there were 6 pieces. We glued the vase back together, but it was misshapen and couldn't hold water anymore. I'm afraid that's the way my mother and I will be now. I'm afraid that no matter how many times I apologize for messing things up with her and her new husband, Dennis, we will remain misshapen and unable to hold water. That's deep right there, y'all. I so wish I'd been able to see her before leaving the hospital. I think back to my last night there, just 24 hours ago, how I tried to sneak out of my room and find my mother in intensive care, and how I kept thinking that if I was any daughter at all, I'd be able to find her. When the nurse caught me, I blurted out to her how sorry I was for making Dennis mad, like by telling her my mother would know too. The nurse walked me back to my room and told me to get some sleep. I don't know why, when things are horrible, people always tell you to get some sleep. I bet it's because if you're asleep, they know you'll leave them alone. That tells me a lot about how Carly feels that people think about her. It tells me that she probably thinks that people don't care enough to listen or take care of her. When she turned to leave, I remember thinking that I was afraid to be alone. The nurse turned out the lights before she left, and I was in the dark, just like I am now. The next morning, I sip orange juice. Good, ordinary, boring orange juice with no added kiwi or pomegranate. Miss Murphy went out last night to get it for me after I told her I only liked it plain. I think it's freakish that she got it just because I asked for it. Whenever I'd ask my mother for orange juice, she'd ask me if I were a Rockefeller. For years, I thought that a Rockefeller was a person who really loves oranges. The back door slams and there's an instant screaming and crying, and now this place finally feels a little bit more like home. Michael Eric comes in with his hand tucked into his armpit. His mother drops to the floor like someone's kicked her behind the knees, but she lands gently, holding out her arms, and he melts into them. He tells how Adam smashed his hand. She takes his hand and kisses it. "My poor old boy," she whispers. "Does that feel better?" His crying stops. She wipes his tears away, and he spins and runs back outside. Then Miss Murphy goes to the door and calls Adam. Again, she kneels and asks him if he hit his little brother. At first, he denies it, and then she poses a simple question. "Are you telling me the truth?" She's got to be kidding. If there's half a brain in his head, he'll stick to the story. He pauses and says, "I wailed him, Mommy, but he deserved it." I think it's funny to have wailed him and Mommy in the same sentence, and I decided that I like Adam. She tilts her head. "What have we said about this?" "I'm supposed to protect him because he's my brother." "That's right. Brothers stick together, right? Family looks out for family." I stand in a place with no space. My stomach has such a longing in it that I want to throw up. The tone, the look on her face, and the look on his, a gentle brush of his hair, a kiss on top of the head, I struggle to decipher a foreign language. She's looking at him like she's seen the best thing ever, even though he's done something wrong. I no longer have the stomach for this juice that she bought for me. I go to the sink and pour it out. I don't belong here. I begin to think that a foster mother who smokes cigars and makes me sleep in the basement would be a relief. One more chapter. Chapter 4. Are you there, God? It's me, Carly. That's the chapter title. When Miss Murphy comes back into the kitchen, she looks nervous as she studies me. She seems to think about things a lot before she speaks, which makes me wonder what she doesn't say. So, Miss Murphy begins in her perky voice, do you know what you'd like to do today? I shrug. What's with her? She makes it sound like I'm on a vacation. Would it be okay if I go shoot baskets? You play basketball? Perky Murphy asks. Yeah, I was on the team back home. I remember how my mother would come to the games and yell for me, how she would tell the refs to go back to reffing blind man's basketball when they made a call against me. How I thought it was funny, but the other mothers used to tell her that was inappropriate, which only made her louder. Well, you and Daniel should get along really well. Great, I say, thinking that I'll be back with my mother before that could even happen. You can borrow my coat, she said. It's cold. I can't, because she suggested it. She glances at me and then glances again. You may borrow that if you'd rather, she says, motioning towards a gray hoodie. I put it on. Outside, I find a basketball right away. It's green with shamrocks. Can't anything just be the way I expect it around here? It's cold outside, not like Vegas. I can see my breath, and it reminds me of the smoke in the casinos when my mother would leave me in the lobby to wait for her. She'd do a few of the slot machines just inside the door where she could see me waiting on the bench. How she'd do a thumbs up when she won or yell, send me luck, when she didn't. Standing there in the cold in front of the house that's color of dirt, I decide to ask God a question. I close my eyes and turn the ball in my hands. I say in a whisper, okay, if I make this basket, then my mother still loves me. Bending my knees, I shoot, watching the ball spin in the air. It gets wedged between the board and the back of the hoop. I know that means something, but I don't know what. Wicked good one, says a voice behind me. At first, I think it's God, like he has time to talk to me. I turn around. It's Daniel. You going to get it down? He asks. What do you mean? I did the work of getting it up there. You get it down. I hear a car. Daniel waves to a guy pulling in the driveway in a pickup. Must be Mr. Murphy. Stellar. Just stellar. The door of the truck squeaks when he opens it. He slams the door, messes Daniel's hair, looks up at the ball and says, good shot. It was her, Daniel says, pointing. Mr. Murphy comes toward me faster than I would like. He holds out his hand. Nice to meet you, Carly, he says, but his face says that I'm here to infect his family with malaria. It makes me want to run. Miss Murphy comes out through the garage. Mr. Murphy kisses her on the cheek and whispers something. She smiles at him, and then he grabs a small duffel bag from his truck and heads inside. Mom, Daniel says, pointing, look what she did. Miss Murphy's smile falls away, and now she's rattled. I hear worry in her voice. So get it down, Daniel. Problem solving, right? Clearly, he wanted a little of my blood instead of a suggestion to do it himself. I hardly know Daniel, but I hate him anyway. I have this feeling, though, that if I don't lay off the prince, Miss McAvoy will be back for me. All right, guys. We read chapters 2, 3, and 4 today, so be sure to tune into the Flipgrid discussion and give an answer to the question. Have an awesome day.